TG Geeks, episode 97, September 26, 2016. Music and horror and horror and music and horror and music and horror. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, but we're not there this week. I'm not there this week.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you also from, I have this terrible feeling of deja vu, Phoenix, Arizona. And I think we need to offer a clarification, because to those who listened to episode 96, you said something rather cryptic at the very end. You said that, and we're going to be recording episode 97 in just a minute. And now you just said your cryptic little intro right there. So why?
Well, because we recorded both of these episodes on Sunday, because we're taking a trip for my niece's wedding.
That will be it.
That would be it. And we won't be here next weekend to record an episode, so we're recording it right now.
Yeah, okay, there it is.
Today or yesterday and a week ago.
Or is it tomorrow? I don't know.
It's time shifted.
Yeah.
Emergency temporal shift. So we have what do we have?
An interview.
An interview. How about that? With Mr. Eric Elick. He is a film composer. So we're going to get right to it. And this time we have a future award-winning composer, Mr. Eric Elick. Welcome, Eric, to our show.
Hey guys, thank you for the vote of confidence regarding the future award-winning composer.
Well,
I look forward to that day.
I think your music is really quite good.
Yeah, I think you would have won something had you not been the judge at Horrible Imaginings.
Actually, I would agree with that. Had you were, by virtue of having been a judge for Horrible Imaginings, you were automatically disqualified from winning anything. Yeah.
So
because
That's
a lot of people were talking at the festival regarding your contributions, towards the projects you worked on. Everybody was talking about how unbelievably good the music you put out was compared to what other people had done.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Thank you so much for that feedback. That's really awesome to hear. Yeah. It makes me very happy because that's part of why I do this is to produce a quality product and to strengthen and elevate the movies that I'm associated with. So thank you so much for that feedback.
Sure. And we just kind of launched into that. So for anybody that's listening that doesn't know who you are, why don't you give us a little background and who you are and what it is exactly that you do and kind of how you came upon that.
How is it that we know you?
Exactly.
Well, we met, this past week at Horrible Imaginings, the 7th Annual Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego, directed by or organized by Miguel. And everyone knows Miguel, so
yeah, exactly.
Rodriguez. So at any rate, that's where we met, and you guys saw a couple of my films there, Dissociative, and films that I scored, Dissociative and Japanese Legends. And I'm a film composer, so that's my role on the crew when I'm working on a movie. So all the music that you hear is done by me.
Yeah, and the Japanese Legends was incredible. That score for that intro was absolutely incredible. I loved it.
Thank you. I was very excited to work with Pablo Senso on that. And I think I'm very happy with the end product.
Yeah.
You've worked with another person we've chatted with in the past, Hamish Downey, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you work with Hamish?
Hamish. The names, I know actually several Hamishes.
Yeah, Hamish lives in...
Do you remember what project it was on?
I don't.
I thought
No,
Well, maybe I'm mistaken.
it's somebody else.
There's somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. I retract that.
Hamish lives in Japan as well.
I know a couple of Hamishes, surprisingly. Yeah. It's not to me, it's not a very common name, but...
Yeah, Pablo knows Hamish.
That's true. Pablo does know him.
Oh, okay.
In fact, that's how we met. Hamish was through Pablo.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's great. She knows a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. This community, this independent filmmaking community is really... I won't say it's small, but there are a lot of people that know a lot of other people, when you get started in that. And we've gotten lots of contacts through various people.
Was this the first time you actually got to attend the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival?
No, he was there last year.
Was it last year?
This is my third year in a row, actually. In 2014, I had composed the score to my first film called The Tour, which was directed by Damon Rickard, the same director that directed the psychological horror short Dissociatives, which screened this year. And so in 2014, I went and helped to represent the film in San Diego. And it was really the first film festival where I felt like the film festival really, made me feel like I was an important contributing member to the whole thing. So Miguel is really good at recognizing your contributions to the films. And, sometimes composers can be overlooked. And so it was a really good experience for me, and that's why I keep going back. I went back last year. I was asked to be a judge. So last year, and as well as this year, I was a judge for Best Score for the short and feature-length films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that Keith and I noticed this year is, and this goes back to what Keith was saying about this being a little network. I was really surprised about how when we came back this year to seeing all these familiar faces again, and it was such a really nice feeling to really get this idea that there is this wonderful sense of community among people that work in the independent film market, if you will. I think maybe the reason we didn't get to know you is because last year was our first one, and we were a bit overwhelmed last year.
Just a bit
overwhelmed.
Because it's just, we were, number one, we were not really aware of horror at that point.
No.
It was through talking to Miguel and interviewing him the first time that we really kind of discovered what horror was. So we showed up, and there we were. We didn't watch all the films. We watched some, and we interviewed some people. But this year we watched every single film.
Every single movie.
You guys definitely put your time in this year.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
I know. I feel completely worn out still. I haven't recovered entirely yet. So going back to basically you, because this interview is all about you. Film scoring. What was it about? What was that spark that made you want to go in this particular direction?
Well, I have been writing and producing music since the late 90s, and really I had been thinking probably maybe about 6 months before I had the opportunity to score the tour. I had been kind of thinking like, I really kind of want to score something just to see what that kind of process is like. And then, everything's kind of a blur now, but like maybe 6 months later, then I started seeing Damon posting about this film that he was co-directing along with Alex Matheson, because they co-directed the tour. And so then I just grabbed some images that they were some promotional images that they had, and then I just kind of did like 3 music cues and sent it to them and asked them to give me a chance, and they did. And the rest is history. Everything has kind of come from the tour, and which is probably why the majority of my body of work is out of the UK. Ironically enough, even though I'm based out of Los Angeles now, but at the time I was based out of a little city called Redlands, California.
Oh, I know where Redlands is.
I'm familiar with Redlands.
Through there on the way to LA every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we know Redlands.
Down I-10,
Yeah, it's on the way to Palm Springs. So, yeah, once I did that, then I really found that I loved it. And evidently, they thought I was reasonably good at it. So I just have kept on. And last year I scored 2 films. And then this year I've scored like up to 6 films. But up to 9 have been announced. So
Cool.
I actually have several films that I'm scoring right now. So yeah, I just kind of got the bug once I did my first film and saw what everything was about, and I've just kept going ever since then.
So I'm fascinated with the scoring process. How do you go about actually composing the music? Obviously, you must be able to see the film, or at least some kind of rough footage, so that you can come up with an idea on how you want the music to go.
Oh, absolutely. So I wait until there's a final edit of the film before I really start to delve into the composing process. Once that final edit is done, then I'll sit down with the director and we'll have what's called a spotting session, where basically coming to the table, watching the film together, and bringing our notes, and then getting on the same page. The director discusses their vision, and I discuss ideas that maybe have not been brought up, and then we just kind of agree, like, yeah, this, we want to go this direction with the score, maybe put these limitations on the score, whatnot, and then I just go from there. And there may be a couple of revisions here and there, but typically what I produce is usually very close to the final product.
That's interesting.
Okay, so when you're doing the actual composing, are you sitting down, like some people, John Williams, for example, and Jerry Goldsmith, they sat this in front of a piano, but Michael Giacchino sits in front of a computer. What is your preferred method of actually composing music, and do you also do the arrangement, and then what about the actual recording process?
Okay, so I sit down in front of my computer because on the types of movies that I'm working with budget-wise, everything has to be kind of sampled. And so I have a home studio that I've been pouring a lot of money into, and that is very high-end and high quality.
Yeah, we get that.
And so it depends on the film. Sometimes I'll use piano to sketch out scenes if it's thematic. If it's going to be a lot of, aleatory effects where you just have these, interesting sounds that aren't really melodic in nature, I might just work with patches straight off the bat and try to find one that really captures the feeling that I'm wanting to give in a scene. But I'll sit down and really look at the film and really try to delve into the characters, the story, what are some underlying themes, story-wise, and what's the emotional trajectory of the film, and what is really trying to be portrayed in each scene to help elevate it. Sometimes a scene requires no music, like music might be detracting, especially if you have really strong actor performances. Maybe you don't want to detract from that scene, or maybe if you have some acting performances that aren't the strongest, maybe you need to bring up the music there to kind of help support the actor's emoting on screen. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do with score besides just portraying an emotion. But my method, and every composer is different, I will usually just do stream of consciousness type of composition from raw composition, and then go back later with a more analytical mind and kind of clean things up and get it where I want it to go.
So that sort of indicates that you have a very strong musical background, or a degree in music, or something to that effect?
Well, I studied music at the college level for about 2 years as an undergrad, but I did not complete that because I was seeing the opportunities afforded to, or maybe not afforded to, people who were graduating with music degrees, and it wasn't very encouraging. So I actually majored in several other fields.
Something you can make money at.
I've studied music and composition independently as well as privately. The main person I've been studying, or I have studied with, is Denise Hughes out of New York City, and she is a former NYU professor of composition and film scoring. So she was very helpful in my journey as a film composer. But besides having a couple years of formal education in music and taking piano lessons for maybe 3 years, as an adult, everything is pretty much self-taught and self-developed.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. a lot of I won't make any generalizations, but composers come from all walks of life, and
they
do all kinds of different things, and as well as anybody that does anything for that matter in this independent film industry. You don't have to be specialized to actually do something.
I think maybe that's.
I mean,
go
when
ahead.
Danny Elfman first started, he couldn't even read music.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, now and he is award winning.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and he
I love his work.
He doesn't. How does he compose? It's like he just composes with sounds and samples.
He sits he sits in front of a keyboard.
Yeah,
That's how he does it. He just sits in front of a keyboard and writes it all out that way. So it's like a piano score as far as he's concerned, and then he gives it to somebody who then arranges it. They score it for an orchestra. So when I just lost my train of thought, dadgummit.
Well, to go off of that a little more, because you had asked it before, I do orchestrate all my own stuff. So if I come up with a theme on the piano, then I will orchestrate it all out. I'm a one-man show at this point, although I'm starting to work with live musicians because I'm getting projects with more of a budget. So that's very exciting, and the future seems like that's the direction I'll be going. So, at this point, I'll still have sampled music and, with sampled instruments and all that I'm producing. But now I'm going to be weaving in live musicians, at least on the projects with the budget to afford that.
Yeah. Now, when you get up to the John Williams level, you're not going to forget us, are you?
Of course not. Of course not. I'm very good at remembering where I come from. So
that's good.
all these early filmmakers,
exactly.
they have me.
So
whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
So when you you complete a project and then you move on to the next one, you were talking about how you kind of experiment here and there. Do you find the experimenting process and culling ideas from that, do you find that becoming easier as you progress further in this career of composing?
I would say yes. I think it's the level of confidence that you start to develop once you have some projects under your belt. Like for the tour, it took a very long time to compose that and produce that score because my confidence was not as cultivated as now with regards, any amount of confidence you're going to get, you will naturally develop once you have more experience in the field. And I've been doing this for over 2 years and about 2.5 years. And I feel like I'm doing very well with all that I've accomplished in what I see as a relatively short amount of time. And I don't see it slowing down any. So I feel very grateful for all the opportunities I've had up to this point, and that I can see on the horizon that are coming my way. But it's just been a great ride.
Now I've noticed that go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that confidence is just a natural progression. As an artist, you always, every artist is different, but sometimes you can always be very self-critical. And probably about a year before I started composing, for films, I did this project where I was like trying to compose a song a day, like where the inception of a song and then producing it, and all you had was a day, and then trying to do that every single day.
Gosh.
And that helped get me over that perfectionistic leaning that I had, which was really probably limited me for a number of years because it had to be like this perfect thing,
right.
Which art, there is no finishing art. I've over the years I've been doing this for since 98, so what is that, 18 years now? There's no art, in my opinion, is never finished. You can work on a score forever and ever and ever, but at some point you do have to push the baby out of the nest and hopefully it'll fly. But yeah, that's just some more information on that.
Yeah, that song a day thing that really pushes you and tests you. You got to.
Oh yeah,
just,
you can
just
hear
do it.
all the songs are uploaded on my SoundCloud, so
just do it.
Yeah. So I've noticed looking at your resume, shall we say, you've really had a good run with horror. Is this a particular genre that you kind of find yourself leaning towards as opposed to other genres like drama or anything along those lines?
I don't consider myself a horror composer, but this is the community that has opened their arms to me, which I'm very happy and grateful of because I do love horror films. But I am also interested in doing other things. Like I rescored some trailers like Star Trek Beyond and for the new Bourne movie, and that's something I'm probably going to continue to do just to demonstrate that I'm able to do things beyond type of horror types of soundtracks. And I did do a drama earlier this year, which was actually an American project, Visitation, directed by Austin Smagalski of Dry Gulch, and which is a new production company that just came out, a few months ago. And yeah, I am interested in scoring all sorts of projects, but I've been lucky enough to have the first genre that kind of has embraced me being the horror community, which they're an extremely, extremely supportive community.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing. They're very wonderful people, even though the genre kind of, people don't understand what horror is. And
No.
Miguel helped us to understand, and I boiled it down to, it's when something unexpected happens. It can be, that's what horror can be, whether it's, it's the adrenaline rush, very similar to comedy, it does the same thing.
Yes, and Greasy Strangler had a lot of unexpected horror in that.
Did you watch did you stay for that?
I did.
Oh my God!
I loved it. I did love it, actually.
I did too. I thought it was the craziest thing I'd seen, but I did like it.
Yeah, that's a big WTF movie.
Oh God!
Totally agree. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm so glad I was able to see that at Horrible Imaginings.
Oh, I'm glad I was able to see it too, and I'll be equally glad to never see anything like that again.
In fact, I posted this week on Facebook and on Twitter. I did a screen grab from one of the trailers and just posted Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie.
God.
I saw that post, and I think I liked it.
I actually had that running through my brain one night, and I couldn't get it out.
I know. That movie just kind of attacks you ever so often.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really good at getting certain things into your head.
Yes.
So, yeah, the Rudy Tooty Disco Fruity, it's definitely one of them, but there's a couple other ones that are a little more colorful that stand out, too.
Yes. And then there's Potato.
A potato.
Yes.
Yeah, potato. Yeah.
Anyway, we
digress. So I think now, listening to you and hearing the way you work, you do remind me a lot of Michael Giacchino. Have you ever thought about actually just composing for the sake of composing? It's not necessarily for a film or any kind of video project, just the creation of music and doing that in different genres, different styles of music.
Oh, absolutely. I have like 10.5 hours of music that people can listen to on my SoundCloud.
Oh, cool.
Which there's, a good amount of film music on there, but there's a lot of non-film music on there in all different genres. And that's what a lot of directors have commented on probably the most, is that when they listen to my body of work, they notice that I am very versatile with regards to the styles that I work with. And at least 2 projects that I know about, that was pretty much their deciding factor in hiring me onto the project.
Cool.
Very nice.
That's
very
pretty
nice.
cool. I
I'll
noticed
take a listen to those now.
That you have done music for podcasts and websites and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That we might. I don't know if you've listened to our podcast, but the intro music, I came up with that myself. That's a. What was it? What's the
Podfar?
Not.
GarageBand?
Yeah, I just picked this thing out of GarageBand and shoved 2 things together. So that's our intro music. So we're kind of we could.
I actually haven't had the opportunity to hear it, but please send me a link so I can give it a listen.
Oh, you'll get a chance to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get to hear it.
And then I use
What, that website service?
Yeah.
Ponfar or something like that?
I can't remember what it is. Pon5.
Pon5.
To find...
Yeah, Ponfar's Vulkan.
Ponfar, yes.
That's Vulkan, yeah.
Silly. Pon5 for different samples and things like that. And I've come up with a couple pieces of music for the website from there. And for our podcast. So it's we might be in the market for... a couple of little pieces, short things that...
we might want to hire you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we should definitely talk about that.
We'll have a little chat, but yeah, we may want to hire you.
Yeah.
You never really know.
Yeah. So, projects, how many projects do you have going right now? And do you just do one project at a time and
or are you
put
Mozart?
It away, or do you work on multiple things at once?
Sometimes I can work on multiple things. I mean, I'm signed on to do several projects currently. It really depends on when the final edit gets finished. And for instance, I'm currently scoring a drama called Jack the Lad, which is directed by Tom Gordon, who is actually the main actor in Dissociative that you guys saw.
Oh, okay.
And then also he's acted in The Package, directed by Damon Rickard, as well as The Tour, co-directed by Damon Rickard and Alex Matheson. So he's kind of their muse, but this is his directorial debut.
Oh, cool.
And he was good enough to invite me onto the project since I've been working on projects that he's been acting in. And I'm doing that currently. There's some other projects that I'm signed on to do, which I'm kind of waiting for the final edits on, like The Jitterman, directed by Alex Matheson, which is a project I'm really excited for, and it's going to be great. I mean, I've seen an assembly cut, but not quite I haven't started really scoring it out yet.
Yeah.
And then there's several other projects that I'm waiting on also. I Baked Him a Cake, directed by Vanessa Wright, which is another short horror film, which will be coming up maybe late this year. I'm not sure when they're planning on releasing that. And then, of course, there's Salient -10, which is, I think, filming, and I'm not sure when that's going to be shipped out to me. And then Follow the Leaders next year. And Salient -10, directed by Emma Dark. And then Elliot McGuire is the director for Follow the Leader. And those are coming out sometime next year.
And those are
really,
feature films,
depending
aren't they?
on when I get the Elliot McGuire film, Follow the Leader is a feature film. It really depends on when I get the final edit, and then I start working on them immediately when I get them. Sometimes I have multiple films going at once, but sometimes if the timing works out, I'm just focusing on one film at a time. But it all depends, and the more jobs that are coming in, the more likelihood that some films might overlap a bit. But there's a lot of composers that work on multiple projects at once, and I think it's a blessing.
How is that working? I mean, when you're actually in the scoring process, the composing process, because you've got final edits that are multiple final edits at one time. How many have you had simultaneously at any one given moment?
Just two.
Just two?
I think Seize the Night last year and The Package I scored. There was some overlap in the scoring process.
So I guess you just kind of compartmentalize.
But otherwise, I've been pretty, the timing has kind of worked out for the rest of the projects, where it's just kind of been one at a time, and I finish one, and then another one will start up maybe a week later or so.
How different were the two projects that came on simultaneously?
No, they're completely different.
Okay, so that begs the question then. How were you able to, because I assume if they're completely different, then they must have entirely different soundtrack or music aesthetics. They have to have totally different themes and emotional feels and all that. How were you able to jump back and forth, assuming that's what you did, how were you able to work on both and yet have each one retain its own musical integrity?
I'd usually probably just focus on one per day, maybe alternate days, depending on the due dates and what I needed to get done at any certain point. I usually try to have some kind of break, because when I do go into the scoring mode, I really just kind of get absorbed by the film, and that's just kind of like I'm eating, drinking, thinking, just the film and the character's emotional trajectory, and try to also think outside of the box, because I really try to avoid cliche as much as I can in my scores. It's just something I like to avoid. It's not really what I want to be known for. But there has to be some kind of separation. Like if I was working on Seize the Night, then I wouldn't close that and then open up the package immediately. I would need some kind of cleansing process.
Right.
That was my next thing.
Yeah.
How do you actually go through that cleansing process so that you don't get any bleed over in terms of artistic style?
Haydn string quartets.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when I'm in the compositional process, I don't listen to any music really. But to cleanse my musical palette, I will usually just, take a break from scoring for a while, go for a run or a walk or, a good night's sleep. And then the next day, I shift my attention to the other film, if that's what I'm doing, and then just delve into that one.
Is there anything that you can, on a conscious level, actually do? Because I know I was very involved in music in a previous life, and I found that I had a very hard time jumping from project to project, because every time I did, even though there may have been a gap, it was like a tape that was just continually playing in my head, that sometimes I would actually have to engage in a very different activity in order to try and wash that out of my mind. Do you find yourself having to do that?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I've studied meditation since I was a teenager. So I think that kind of helps to shift gears as well as turn the thinking mind off, because that's pretty much what I try to do. I'm not really analytical in my raw compositional process. Once the composition is pretty much there, if it's stuck in my head, then I know it's good.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So
an earworm, shall we say?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have said. I mean, for the film scoring process, maybe not as much of an earworm, but if I'm doing thematic, then yes, you want something memorable. But like in my other types of music, people have commented that my music is, gets stuck in their head and is memorable, and that's kind of like what you want. But I just can, just doing something else, either watching some TV, which I never do, to be quite honest, or going for a walk or going shopping or hanging out with friends or something, kind of will help me get out of the composing mode. And then usually, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, I really would rather just be composing at the moment. But, usually I can shift out of that. But it's helpful to do a completely different activity.
Yeah, retail therapy is always good. if you can afford it.
Yeah, I do like shopping, but not, I'm kind of a nerd, so I like to shop for technology or something cool.
Oh, you're talking to the right people.
We understand. We have had more toys that we haven't used than you can imagine,
Yeah, some are still in boxes.
Exactly.
So
I did want to say one thing.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, shopping for clothes is not my passion.
No, not my thing.
Tech toys.
Toys, that's right. That's where I'm at.
But
the Seize the Night and the package. Well, the package is like this torture flick, and Seize the Night is like this vampire and werewolf movie. And Seize the Night has like this hybrid orchestral synth type of sound, where the package was synth and with some organic instruments in there, but they were completely different. I mean, Seize the Night also has kind of like almost a superhero type of theme song. So those are completely different. And I think also having just two completely different films also helps with the transition when you're working on two films. If I was doing two similar films, I think it'd be much harder.
Right.
That's a
because
good
they're
point.
completely different emotional palettes.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
So you had mentioned when you were trying to compartmentalize and work on each film, you kind of got into the film. Would you kind of liken it to, and I'm just going to throw this out here, method composing? You get into the film, you inhabit the characters, and you inhabit the film itself?
When I think of method composing, I think of method acting, where
Exactly.
you become this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word, but it's something that is. I get in some ways, yes. In some ways, I get very entrenched in that world. It's just more of trying to delve into that world.
Right.
It's more of the emotional as well. I do get enraptured by the visuals too.
Right.
This emotional world of the story, and when you get into that really deep, you can start. I think it's a lot easier to kind of think outside of the box, and
Right.
People comment oh, your scores aren't like typical horror scores, and I take that as a big compliment, but because they still work. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Is you kind of you get into the characters and you live in that world, so you understand the world, so you're able to create the music for that world, of sorts.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would say in a way that's one good way of describing it.
I'm just curious, are there any composers, and it doesn't matter whether they're film or not, are there any that you really that you look up to or are very inspired by?
Oh, yes.
do you want to say?
Long list.
or are we going to be here till noon?
Well, I'll have to say the first composer that I have to give props to is Tori Amos, because without her, I would not be a musician, period.
Uh-huh.
Are you guys familiar with Tori?
I am, yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I had this recurring dream of playing Blood Roses, which is off of her 1996 album Voice for Pele, the second track. And it's actually a harpsichord. But I had kind of this recurring dream that I was playing that in front of this audience at my grandmother's house. And I kept having it. So I was like, I think I'm supposed to learn this song. Meanwhile, I did not really, play piano at all or anything. So it took me 6 months to learn that song. And at the same time I started to learn that song, I also started to compose just my own stuff. And so I've been composing as long as I've been playing the piano.
Wow.
And so definitely she's been the most influential musical artist out there on me. I studied her music ad nauseum. It wasn't nauseum to me, but other people might be ad nauseum, where I was almost listening exclusively to her music and, just completely devouring and studying how she did things for a number of years. But, after a while, you have to kind of step out of the shadow of your idol, so to speak, in order to develop your own artistic voice. And, but other composers, so I don't really listen to her too much anymore, but I keep tabs on what she's doing. But other composers that I really like are, John Williams is there, but he's not at the top of my list. You have Alexander Desplat, who's a French composer.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with him, yes.
Yeah, James Horner. I love his Aliens theme. So, all the major, those are probably some of my favorite composers right there, some of my top two. But there's so many out there that you can learn from just listening, because they're all unique and they all have their own methods. And of course, Danny Elfman. I just love music and film scores. So there are so many. Take your pick, and I'll probably like them.
Well,
but
Ben is a musician too, and he's been playing music for
I've lost count.
50 of his 55 years.
Yeah,
so.
Since dinosaurs roamed the earth. That's how long it's been.
And he's very talented musician too. So
well, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it.
He won't blow his own horn.
I don't like to talk about it.
Yeah, he's a very good guitarist.
Well, what instrument do you play? Is it piano or?
I'm self-taught at the piano, but I'm primarily a guitarist and vocalist.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's
Much respect to guitarists. I don't know how you guys keep your fingers from falling off, because I tried to learn guitar at one point. I'm like, no. My fingers can't tolerate this.
Well, that's how I feel about watching people play the violin.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm watching, somebody playing... the
Paganini.
The Paganini Caprices. Yeah, it's like, look at that. It's like, your fingers should be igniting into flames now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, your hand should be experiencing spontaneous combustion at this point. They're moving so fast. The friction there. I mean, physics demand that it would eventually heat up to where it's gone nuclear, but oh well. So to wrap things up, now that we've been entirely silly,
we're a silly podcast.
Yeah, we're very, very silly. Is there any place that if anybody wants to follow you or explore your work? Now you mentioned like you have some music. Was it SoundCloud or I think you said it was?
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to follow your work, music that you have composed. Do you have these places, where are these places on the intertubes, the various little social medias? How can someone follow you?
Well, my website is www.ericelick, that's ERICELICK, music.com, or you could just do ericelick.com and it'll come up also. You can Google my name because there's no one else out there with my name, and all my music stuff will come up. Or you can just search for Eric Elick Music on all major social media. I'm on, Twitter, obviously Facebook. I have a music page on there which you can like, and that will give you updates where I put all my professional happenings and developments there. And then I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo. So, yeah, and that's all. If you go to my website, that has links to everything that I'm involved with there.
Right.
Cool.
You have a production company that you're launching too, you said?
Oh, yes, this is your exclusive.
Hey.
I'm developing and we'll be releasing a production company very soon, and we have our first short film, which is going to be a proof of concept, character-driven film with some interesting angles in there. Which I'll be talking more about next month when we actually release it, if everything goes as planned.
Sure.
And the production company will be breakingthewheelproductions.com, and it will also be on all social media once it's officially released.
And we'll have
so
a link.
You can just search for Breaking the Wheel Productions on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all that, and you'll be able to find it. And please follow it.
Yeah, we'll put a link in our the episode whenever we release this.
Whenever we put this out, we will make sure to include that link in our show notes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Whether it's
Thank you so much, guys. I've had a great time chatting with you.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice having an opportunity to really sit and chat with you. I mean, because everybody was just so coming and going at the festival that having any kind of lengthy conversation was next to impossible.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were trying to talk to several people.
Totally agree.
That we've known for forever, and 2 minutes at a time. So, well, thank you very much, Eric, for being with us on the show this time.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
And here's a few selected birthdays for September 26th through October 2nd, 2016. September 26th, Olivia Newton-John,
who just announced that she's got residency at one of the casinos in Las Vegas.
How about that?
Yes.
That would be fun. Also September 26th. What day is it? Jack LaLanne, who just died several years ago, and he was like 97.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my mother watching Jack LaLanne
So
on
did my
TV
mom.
in the 60s.
Yeah, that was the chic thing to do.
Yes, it was the chick thing to do. September 26th, George Gershwin. September 27th, Daniel Frank's Facebook friend and a comic book, or he's a writer up in Prescott, or the Verde Valley, up in the Verde Valley. Also on September 27th, Meat Loaf. Gwyneth Paltrow, Wilford Brimley, and last year when we ran across Wilford Brimley's birthday, I said, I thought he was already dead.
Yeah. Surprise!
when I saw it come up in the birthdays again, I thought, isn't he already dead? I don't know. It's just somebody else that reminds me of Wilford Brimley. Anyway, also on September 27th, Greg Morris, who was on Mission Impossible.
Yes, he was.
And Mr. Don Cornelius of
Soul Train.
Yes.
And we actually saw the set for that, and boy, were we disappointed.
Really disappointed.
I was afraid to even stand on any of that because I thought it'll fall.
It really was kind of cheap and chintzy. Also, on September 27th.
Oh, good luck.
Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Very good. And what's interesting about that is we just saw him. In it was Genghis Khan Conquers the Moon at the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival.
Yes. And then on September 28th, William Wyndham.
Now, you met him, didn't you?
I met him in Tahlequah, Oklahoma at Northeastern State University. It was part of the community concert series. He was doing his James Thurber one-man show, I believe. So he was really very nice man. I got to go backstage and meet him.
He's one of those actors that I think did not get the accolades that he truly deserves.
He was incredible.
He was a really, really strong actor, and just for some reason it didn't break out for him.
Yeah, he was
not totally.
Yeah, part of the show was the Walter Mitty. He was doing some of this. Walter Mitty stories, one-man show. Also on September 28th, Ed Sullivan. Interesting.
Yeah,
once again.
Here we are. I mean, it's just a day later after or a week later from listening that we saw 8 Days a Week. So yeah, Beatles, Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, interesting. September 29th, Mr. James Starks, whose association with Beyond the Impact in San Diego. Also, Madeline Kahn.
Not that Kahn.
No, not that Kahn.
No. This
Madeline Kahn.
No. She's actually like the great grandmother. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
And we just saw something with her not too long ago, didn't we?
Watched Blazing Saddles.
And we watched also Young Frankenstein.
Yes, right. Yes, exactly. Also on September 29th, Ian McShane and Miguel de Cervantes in 1547. He's the writer of Don Quixote. September 30th, Jacqueline Taryn Rankle.
Jackie Taryn, friend of mine from junior high and high school. Happy birthday, Jackie.
And also on September 30th, honey.
Chances are you were a silly grin the moment you come into. Yes, the singer who sounds like that your stereo wires need fixing.
Yes. October 1st, Ms. Julie Andrews, Richard Harris, and George Peppard. October 2nd, Avery Brooks.
But no relation to Mel.
Yes. Annie Leibovitz. Oh, my. It was a commercial she did.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
Somebody was saying, I think... excuse me. She should have this photograph composed in a completely different manner, and it was just so screwed up.
And she just, oh my.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
October 2nd, also Mike Rutherford.
Mike and the Mechanics and Genesis fame.
And Groucho Marx. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hi, this is Heather Langenkamp, and I wouldn't dream of missing an episode of Megapodzilla.
Hi, this is Robert Hayes. You don't listen to Megapodzilla? Surely you can't be serious.
Hi, this is Christy Swanson. Does the word duh mean anything to you?
Hi, I'm Crazy Joe.
I'm Hot John.
And I'm just Bob.
We're the hosts of Megapodzilla,
the podcast equivalent of a 100-foot radioactive robot lizard.
But with horn-rimmed glasses and a pocket protector.
Oh my god, that's so nerdy.
We're on the rampage, laying waste to the geek landscape.
Every week we talk movies and TV.
Comics, pop culture, we bring you interviews with celebrities and industry insiders.
Oh, don't forget, we talk about toys. We talk about toys too.
Who could forget?
You won't let us.
So check us out. You might have fun.
Heck, we've been nominated for the Parsec Award twice, so we must be doing something right.
But we never won.
Yet.
So look for us in the iTunes Store, the Google Play Store, on iHeartRadio, on Stitcher, and always at Megapodzilla.com.
And if you're lucky, maybe we'll just sell you our nudes.
Keep on wearing those pajamas.
Go give a listen to our friend Crazy Joe over at Megapodzilla. And yes, we understand, Joe. We've been nominated for the Parsec Award, too. And
didn't win.
So,
oh, well. There's always next year.
There's always next time.
And we got some feedback, this time pretty much all about Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. And this is not just for the episode that we did, where we talked about the entire show, but the actual news items.
Yeah, we sort of not live blogged it, we next day blogged it.
Next day blogged it, yeah. Or in my case, a lot of it was late night blogging. Oy. And so we did a blog on festival day number 3, and that was the day we actually got to interview the lovely Grace Folsom, who was the star of the movie Dark Exorcism. And the director of that film, David Spaltro, left feedback saying, "Thanks for interviewing the lovely Grace Folsom."
Yay.
Well, it was our pleasure. She was
fun.
a delight, an absolute delight. And then regarding episode 95, where we shared the interview with all of you, our listeners, Grace left a comment saying, "I was interviewed about Dark Exorcism by Ben Raggington and Keith Lane for their Two Gay Geeks podcast. Check it out if you're interested." And David Spaltro had a cute little comment in response to that. And I guess during the interview, Grace refers to the demon that possesses her as a very verbal demon. And David left a comment saying, "A very verbal demon. What should have been our new title?"
A very verbal demon.
Now I don't think people have taken that quite seriously, though. It'd be more comedy and less horror. And we had some nice little feedback from all the little live blogs that we did from Carl Smith on Twitter. He is at CinemaFool.
And we didn't...
Never saw
him. I think we
saw him.
We saw him because he was standing there waiting for us when we were talking to Alexander.
Yeah, but
then
we were talking to Alexander.
Yeah. And then he had to go.
Go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we feel really bad about this, Carl. But he wrote, and I just pulled some of this together off Twitter. He wrote, "A great recap from the Two Gay Geeks of my favorite San Diego Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. Miguel Rodriguez of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego is one of the best curators and MCs that I've experienced in my film fest journeys." Well, on that, I would have to agree.
Yes, he was really great.
Well, he knows his movies, but
he
you're
really
right.
knows film.
He really knows
history
film.
as well.
Yeah, but he's also a phenomenal MC. He's very funny. And then also Carl said on another entry, "Another great recap of the Two Gay Geeks of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival that I've been missing on." Sigh. And then the last one he wrote was, "These recaps of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival have been great, guys. Yet another recap of the Two Gay Geeks. Bummed I wasn't able to be there for the LGBT selections. Sigh. Hopefully I can find them online."
Yeah.
With any luck.
Should be able to.
I would certainly hope so.
You would love Black Bear. It was great.
Heavens, yes.
It was just the funniest thing.
It's very Monty Python.
And Elena is...
Elena
you should be able to find that soon. I think they... Didn't Alexander say they got some distribution?
Yes, they did. Yes, I believe so. So just, if you want to be sure, just check out our interview with Alexander and then find out for yourself. And then lastly, we got some comment from Andrew Chambers, and this is in response to the blog we did about the opening night. And for anybody who doesn't know, he is on Twitter known as @MrFilm. He's the director of Noir Town.
Oh God, it was a
one
treat.
Of the best.
Was a treat, yeah.
And he wrote, "Your review regarding my film Noir Town gave me a big smile." And I guess I wrote, "The most amusing short film of the night." And it was. And he came back with, "Thank you."
Yep. And that's our comments for this time. We want to thank our listeners and anybody that comments on our episodes or on Facebook or on any of the articles that we write. You can leave us feedback and tell us what you like, what you don't like, and please play nice. Look us up on Facebook as TG Squared Studios. You can go to tggeeks.com or our YouTube episodes as TG Geeks. Or you can call our listener feedback line at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357.
This is Kenny Rotter from the Dumbbells and Dragons podcast, where nerd and fitness collide. Join me and a guest every Wednesday for a new episode where we talk about all things nerdy, pop culture, and health and fitness. Follow me on all social media at Dumbbells Dragon or just search Dumbbells and Dragons. Work out, nerd out.
We have a few stories we wish to share with all of you. And these stories will be in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. And starting off, for people who don't know, Disney is doing another version of the classic children's sci-fi fantasy story, A Wrinkle in Time. And I say again because Disney did do this for the ABC network a number of years ago. It was poorly received, but now they're tackling it again. And the studios, Walt Disney Studios, is pleased to announce that the 13-year-old actress Storm Reed is going to be playing the lead role of Meg Murray in this upcoming adaptation. The director for this film is Ava DuVernay, and she wrote, after an extensive search that spanned multiple dimensions, we're overjoyed to welcome Storm Reed to A Wrinkle in Time as our beloved Meg. But what I thought was fascinating, the three, I can't call them, they're not necessarily witches, but they're three very, very powerful women, and they are, let me see, Mrs. Whatsit, Mrs. Who, and
Who's it and what's it galore?
Yeah, not quite. It's
You want thingamabobs?
No.
I got 20.
No. Wrong one.
Oh, this is not Little Mermaid.
No, by no means is this Little Mermaid. In any case, I can't remember the name of them all, but two of them are Mrs. Whatsit and Mrs. Who, and I can't remember who the third one is. But they're played by Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling. And what was awesome about this is that they all took to Twitter and started twittering back and forth with each other as their characters, expressing excitement over the fact that Storm Reed is joining the film. And that's what I thought was really exciting. Now, I am intrigued with the cast, I will admit. I think this has the potential of being really, really smart, really good. I'm really hoping that they don't dumb it down like they did with the ABC film. Make this a smart movie. Give it some really strong production values. I have great hopes for it. I really want this to be great. The film, as I said, it's being directed by Ava DuVernay, who directed Selma. Now, that should say something.
Yep.
That should say something. It's from a script by Jennifer Lee, who did Frozen. That should say something. And Jim Whittaker and Catherine Hand, they're producing the film. It begins production later this year. I really, really hope that they can put out something very strong. It deserves a really great big screen treatment. Something that can be very multi-level, and that's something that Disney's very successful with. They can make a movie that can appeal to multiple ages. It doesn't have to be just for a young age group like the ABC film was, so I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we ran a story about how, I didn't like this. Warner Brothers is using the CW TV shows as a proving ground for various franchises, shall we say.
Oh, Lord.
Now, this bothered me. A couple of seasons ago, the TV series Arrow introduced the Suicide Squad and did what I thought was an amazing job of it.
Yeah.
I was just so excited.
And then they made a movie.
Well, then they made a movie. Well, but of course, we can't have the movie universe and TV universe coexisting. So when Warner Brothers, the studio, saw that there was some serious popularity for the Suicide Squad on Arrow, they thought, oh, well, let's make a movie out of this. Hey, you people over on the CW, kill them.
Yeah.
That really just irritated me to no end, because I thought the cast for the Suicide Squad on Arrow was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do over there. Who knows?
Well, this really kind of sets me off. So what happens? The showrunners for any of the 4 shows, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and now Supergirl, anytime they come up with a really great idea, they start using it in their TV shows. And what Warner's is finally going to come right in like the big brother and say, okay, that's really nice. We want it. You can't have it anymore.
Kill them all.
Is that what we're up to
Off
now?
with their heads. Oh.
I mean, is that, yeah, almost feels like that. But is that what we're up to now? Is that what we're going to be getting?
Who knows?
I mean, that's not really fair. What about something that maybe the CW properties see? Greg, the showrunners, like Greg Berlanti. I mean, they take a look over at Warner Brothers and say, okay, you guys have got something. It's not really flying over on your end of the spectrum, but we think we can make it really work. Can we have it? I mean, now, can we see that?
Nope.
Oh, great. Because so far, what they've done on the movie side of things, I mean, okay, there are some people that think Batman versus Superman was really hot. Obviously, we're not one of them. We're not of that. We're not of that ilk. But let's say, for example, just for giggles and grins, let's just say Aquaman completely just drowns. Yeah. Thank you. Try the steak. Let's assume that the Aquaman franchise
You'll be here
doesn't
all
work
week
out.
unless they boo you off the stage.
Yeah. But let's assume that it doesn't work out. So can the showrunners then say, you know what, you guys, it didn't really work out for you, so let's have it. I mean, if it works both ways, then I'm okay. Then I'm on board. But if it only works one way, if the studio can say, you guys on the television side of things, you know what, we want that, you can't have it. I mean, to me, that really seems unfair.
Yeah.
So I'm really very unhappy about that. I think it should there should be some It should be reciprocal.
Reciprocity.
Thank you. That's the word. I can never say reciprocity. Moving right along. There was a brand new extended promo for the upcoming season of Arrow, and I've got to admit, I'm excited for the show again.
Oh, good.
Because it feels like they're returning to what made the show great. Because this last season, not so great.
Yeah, it kind of lost me.
Yeah,
I got bored with it.
Well, I got bored with it really fast. The flashback sequences did not really parallel with what was going on. I mean, okay, yeah, it dealt with magic, but it was badly, badly done. I hated the whole Damien Dark thing. And now it feels like the Arrow is turning, Green Arrow's turning back to that whole vigilante thing, which made the show great in the first place. So I'm really excited about this promo. I would recommend everybody take a look at it. There's some really great scenes with some of the new people that are a part of the show. The least of which is Curtis, who will be Mr. Terrific. Oh, he's hilarious in this. I think this is going to be great. We have the official synopsis for this series. Actually, it's for the official synopsis for the first episode, which is called Legacy. And it reads this: after Laurel's death and the departures of both Diggle and Thea from Team Arrow, Oliver takes to the streets solo to protect Star City's citizens as the Green Arrow, with Felicity guiding him from the bunker. So already it's really pared down. So it's a nice little reminder of how the show began. With Felicity guiding him to the bunker, Oliver is forced to deal with a city that has become overrun with both criminals and a slew of new and painfully inexperienced vigilantes.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's always great for comedy. Watching Oliver try to balance his jobs as both the mayor and also the protector of Star City, Felicity suggests he form a new team. Oliver resists. However, when a new deadly criminal named Tobias Church guest starred Chad L. Coleman, once Tobias Church enters the picture, Oliver realizes the best thing for the city might be a new team of superheroes. Meanwhile, the flashbacks take us to Russia, where Oliver faces off against the Bratva. I'm really intrigued, but the question that I keep coming back with is one word: Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because we know that Barry Allen has been playing with history a little bit, and
Playing with time.
He's playing with time, and there's some huge repercussions. Katie Cassidy, who played Laurel Lance, she's been given one of those blanket contracts like John Barrowman. So she's going to be peering across the board. So that's intriguing. So I kind of wonder now, will we be seeing a little bit more of Laurel in all of this? And what kind of repercussions we'll be seeing out of Flashpoint? I know that you're not all that familiar with it because that's solely been a comic book concept right now.
Right.
But just kind of wrap your head around it for a little bit. Barry changes history.
Yeah.
What kind of ideas do you think that might have in terms of what you might see in the Arrow universe?
Reset a lot of things.
Like, you have just any thoughts?
Laurel could be back alive. Felicity's not angry and
wouldn't that be nice?
Crippled and
she's not. Well, yeah, she's still technically crippled, but only the technology has saved her ability to walk.
And any number of things. I mean, those are the two things. And Diggle's back, and Thea's not a zombie, and
Thea, Thea kind of went into a little bit of zombie mode. This will be interesting. I'm very excited about it. But yeah,
and it depends on how far back they went. He went back to his childhood, but that could change the entire universe.
Exactly. I mean,
it could be that Tommy doesn't die. It could be.
That's what I'm really putting. I'm putting my money in that Tommy shows up.
Yeah,
I would love to see that because it was his death that completely altered the direction of Arrow.
Right.
So if Tommy, for some odd reason, is now alive, and you're right, a lot of things could happen. I mean, when you consider where the Flashpoint takes
Malcolm
place,
wasn't quite as evil.
Well, if Tommy's still alive, I mean, a lot of things can happen here.
Or maybe he's even more evil.
Well,
who knows?
He's supposed to be part of this new Legion of Doom. The Malcolm. So we'll have to wait and see.
Or maybe he is more evil then.
He might be more evil. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But hey, so I'm going to throw the question out to all of you listeners. Where do you think this could all go? What would you like to see, especially in this upcoming season of Arrow, which was not their best? I mean, the last season was not their best. I think it was their most poorly received of the entire show so far. So what would all of you like to see? Leave us feedback on that. And that's what we've got.
Yep, that's it. So that is it for our feedback.
Second segment.
Second segment.
You said feedback.
Feedback. Did I say feedback?
Yes, you did.
Don't pay any attention to me.
Don't pay attention to that man behind the microphone.
Exactly. We have follow-up items. How's that?
Not feedback items? Oh, we already had feedback items.
Had feedback items.
We already had the feedback items.
Did we already have Did we do the feedback
items? We did the feedback items.
I can't remember.
It's all about horrible imaginings.
Okay. Anyway, my memory is as short as my hair.
What hair?
So, yeah, exactly. Follow-up. We have a calendar. Check the calendar for cons, film festivals, birthdays.
Because we can't remember anything that's there.
Exactly. And, of course, we are big supporters of independent creators, as witnessed by Eric Elick's interview today. He is an independent film composer. Check out all the independent creators, whether it's comic books, film, music, you name it. Check them out. If they do
support them,
Indiegogo or crowdfunding of any kind, check it out. Give them
Please,
$5 at
yeah,
least.
absolutely support them because, as we've said many times, a lot of these independent creators
They're just looking for money to make their product.
Exactly, and they are enormously talented. Eric is a very talented composer. So
yeah, and you would be amazed at what some of these people do with very little money.
Absolutely,
the quality that they turn out.
If
with.
you have any doubts, go to an independent film festival.
Yeah,
you would be amazed at the stuff that gets put out there. So check it out.
Yeah, and we have Phoenix Comic-Con Fan Fest coming up rapidly.
Very rapidly.
Rapidly, yes. Check out phoenixcomiccon.com for more information, hotels, and guests.
Among the people on Twitter that we like, there is Doctor Who Talking Who. They put out the Doctor Who Fancast Guide, which occasionally republishes some of our stories, and we are grateful. If you want to read the Fancast Guide, just find the Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter at Talking Who. The other one is Brian Weber. On Twitter, he is Social Justice Scald, and he puts out the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. And if you want to read the Post-Dispatch News, just go to Twitter and find him at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And Brian is also on Tumblr with the incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. They may sound correct, but maybe they're not. Do we have a quote or two?
Yes. There is one from Tuvok. It says, "I'm not a bad man, but in certain situations I have to ask myself, what would a bad man do?" And also this one. This one's very incorrect. From Tom Paris. "Good deeds are like pissing yourself in dark pants.
What?
Warm feelings, but no one notices."
No. No. He never said that.
Well, these are incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes.
That's right. But wow, where did someone even... How wow. Okay, that one actually kind of astonishes me. The Tuvok one, I could see how that got in there. You know, how that kind of like, snuck in there. But that one that's attributed to Tom?
He's just being Tom.
But even Tom wouldn't say something that bizarre. And that's really out there.
Anyway, so we want to give a shout out to The Lookie Show. The twins, they are wonderful. Sasha and Dagmar. They are on Twitter as @Lookie Show. And you can catch their show on YouTube as The Lookie Show. Check them out. They give wonderful reviews and interesting movie information. Yes.
And we have to give a shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, because not only do they allow us to post our episodes on their page, but they have amazing people that post amazing content. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. And special thanks go to moderator Jeremiah Reeves for giving us his blessings to share our episodes there.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we want to remind you to occasionally click on our Amazon ads that we run at the bottom of each episode and article, as well as our widgets on the side of the website. Give them a click. It helps us. If you want to buy something, you can. You don't have to. Thank you for your consideration. And lastly, please rate us on iTunes.
That's very important because the more people that rate us on iTunes, the higher our show gets listed if anybody is doing a search.
Yes. Up next time.
Oh, we may have an interview.
Who knows?
We might have an interview with David Spaltro. We may have an interview with somebody else, possibly from a film festival. We don't know. Because that's in 2 weeks.
Yep, exactly. Why did I do that?
Blow blood sugar.
Exactly. I pressed the button too soon. Okay, that should do it for this. Wait. Here's the button I should have pushed. Yes, that's the final sound button.
And this is this is us being normal,
Every day.
hungry, we're tired, and the show going out kind of raw.
Exactly. And that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the articles for the episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I can press the button now. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.